Stay safe. Let me go to
Thanks, Glenn.
Let me go to Scott Cleland. He is the guy that wrote the book Search and Destroy. He is the president of Precursor LLC, and I wanted to ask him. Because I think a lot of people will say that this is sci-fi stuff, and it's moving so fast. We're approaching the singularity. You know who Ray Kurzweil is. We're approaching the singularity, and this thing is going to be upon us, and it's going to be too late to have this debate. Tell me the biggest problem that people are not thinking about when it comes to Google and getting into bed with the military.
Well, first of all, what Google has done is its mission is to centralize information power. And it's well there. It's the only entity in the world that has a mission to collect all the world's public and private information. And it's developed more ways to monitor more people more intimately than any entity ever. Now, so that's the power they have. The thing that most troubles me is how unethical they are. And that is that they don't think stealing is wrong. They don't think lying is wrong. They don't think that it's a problem for them to break the laws. Laws are for other people, for the little people. And so they have a long track record. They also don't have a corporate conscience. I mean, for 7 years, they were advertising illegal drugs to kids, steroids to kids, and OxyContin to other Americans. And they had to pay a $500 million penalty for that, which was actually, they got off light from the Department of Justice. So you have an unethical company with enormous power, and as you described, exponentially increasing power.
I don't think people understand this because I used to fly out of New York, just in Connecticut, and the JetBlue would come in and it would fly by, and it would be all next to these corporate hangars, and on the back of several corporate jets was a logo. Most people would go by and they don't think it's Google because they think it's all the little rainbow colors in the word Google. Explain their corporate logo, because I think it says a lot.
Well, the word Google is a mathematical term spelled differently, but it's basically the largest number ever named. So it's one with 100 zeros behind it. So the ambition they have, that's the thing that's extraordinary. Larry Page, the CEO of Google, has limitless ambition. And there's nothing wrong with ambition if there are checks and balances on that ambition, if there is a rule of law. If there are ethics, some type of conscience that prevents you from using that power. When I wrote the book, the organizing theme was power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is what Lord Acton said. And in Google's hands, it is playing out every day. They just, they can do whatever they please because they can get away with it. They do.
Would you say
they do it all in the name of innovation?
Would you say that they are the emerging superpower? Possibly the only world superpower? And which one, when does that flip to where they become the dog and not the tail?
Well, they already are the internet superpower. They have 1 billion search users. They track 2 billion people. As you were describing, they have 1 billion map users.
But Scott, what I'm talking about...
They already are the internet superpower.
Internet superpower is one thing, but you remember, we grew up and J. Edgar Hoover was in charge of the FBI. And the reason why he was there and nobody ever messed with him is he had information on everyone. So at what point do they become the dog and not the tail? Because, Senator, Mr. President, Your Highness, I don't think you're going to do that.
They already are. And what's funny is my testimony about 5 years ago to the House of Representatives was called J. Edgar Google. That's how I put it in perspective of what the problem was. They already have that. They had their antitrust investigation just kind of mysteriously go away. Now people can say, well, they didn't find anything. Or they can say that Google got to somebody. And what I wrote in my book is, anytime you have somebody with unfettered, unlimited power to basically know everything about people, and they know more about people than people know about themselves, or their parents know about them, or their friends know about them, intimate stuff, because whatever they track and record, they don't forget. And then they say, well, wait a minute, I guess somebody's got a weakness, and they know where it is. And they can do it on an individual basis or a mass basis. Think about this, Glenn, that if they wanted to track, if the government wanted to track, gun lovers or certain freedom-loving patriots or some militia group, if they decided to have a tool, Google's already that tool. Google knows where most everybody is that reads these things. They know it through Maps. They know it through Android. And if the government ever wanted to go by and do a dragnet and collect most of them, Google would be the tool that they would use today.
Is there anybody that's really in ethics there? We've got about 30 seconds. Is there any leadership in ethics there at all?
Not that I've seen, and I've studied them very carefully over the last 7 or 8 years.
Thank you very much. Back in just a second.